Shout out to Cats Pawd.
1 second. A good defensive play for Montana State.
Touchdown, Tommy Malone is electrifying.
Welcome to the Cats Pod. What's up, Podcats? Here we are, Wednesday night, Pick'em Pod, Week 7. Biggest week of the season so far, and I don't think that that is an overstatement in any way, shape, or form. We are super excited to talk about this weekend's slate of games, what happened last weekend outside of the Cat game, and how it shook up the FCS rankings. Because we had 3 top 10 teams in the FCS lose. Eric, how you feeling about this week?
I'm so pumped. This week's just dragging by. I'm so ready for this game. We have to wait till 8:15.
8:15 on Saturday. There's still so many days in between here and there. We got to get through Thursday, Friday, and almost all of Saturday. I can't deal with the waiting. Thursday night football in the FCS. We want it. No, because then we'd be wanting a game on Saturday then. We just need more games. That's it. That's the only thing that's going to help this.
Yep. I mean, we have to wait for what is probably the biggest game on our entire, maybe not entire, but it kind of looks like our biggest game of the entire schedule.
Yeah, it could turn into it for sure.
I mean, it's the UC Davis is ranked higher now, but I still think Idaho's a better team.
Yeah, I would agree. They're a better roster and everything. So,
should we talk about what everybody wants to hear about?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Let's go into it.
The most exciting thing that happened last week, aside from a stress-free Bobcat win?
Yep. Are you talking about Bobby Hauck's press conference? No, we can get into that later. We can get into that, yeah. Yep.
The University of Montana lost in a game that they should have won easily, and they got beat because their defense sucks.
It's bad and, in fact, not good.
It's so... I mean, I watched almost all of that game.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty glued in on the Cat game for the majority of the second half, but still watched all the scoring plays. Dude, Weber State wide receivers were burning the Grizzly defense.
Yeah.
I mean, they were behind them the entire game. The quarterback didn't even have to make good throws. They were so wide open.
Yeah.
He could slow down, catch the ball, and then go again. And he still had time.
Yeah. This is just not a thing that we're used to seeing from Bobby Hauck defenses. There's been some suspect offenses
from last year.
Oh, yeah. There's been some suspect offenses over the years. But I feel like the defenses were always at least mediocre. And this Grizz defense, like, I was not going to buy into it. I was not going to fall in the trap. My foot is firmly in the trap because I believe that their defense is, in fact, bad. Not mediocre, bad.
Let's put it this way, Ben. 2 weeks worth of games for the Grizzlies. Their defense has given up over 100 points.
Yep.
That's insanity.
Mm-hmm. I just...
This week, just a quick rundown of the stats for Weber State. And, everybody who's listening to this podcast, we made a big deal about Eastern Washington stats, how inflated they were.
Oh, yeah.
Weber State passing, 364 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Yep.
Weber State rushing, 38 carries, 177 yards, had a clip of 5 yards per carry.
Yep. So
that's...
Eric, is it that the Grizz defense is bad, or are they playing against Patrick Mahomes every week? Because I feel like there's Patrick Mahomes numbers going up every single week that the Grizzlies play.
I mean, you're making a joke, but seriously.
Yeah. They make bad quarterbacks.
You can go back through the episodes. I've said that Weber State's quarterback is subpar, and they made him look like Patrick Mahomes.
If you look at UND's quarterback, who has had good moments but is not an incredible passer by any metric, he got completely shut down by NDSU last weekend, and he looked like Patrick Mahomes against the Grizz. Yeah, I was starting to think this UND quarterback had something. Turns out he was just playing against a terrible defense.
I mean, I think that both you and I thought that the Grizzly defense was going to take a step back because they did lose. Bit. I mean, when you lose Gubby in the middle of that defense,
Gumby?
that's going to leave a mark for sure. And they graduated. I can picture his face. That linebacker from Anaconda, Braxton Hill.
Yep.
They graduated him, and I mean, they did lose some key pieces, but they still returned a lot. And you're not seeing the growth that you would think you would see.
No, you're not.
From a fair amount of returning players, including Riley Wilson, who might be the biggest dickhead I've ever seen on the field.
Could be.
That kid should have been ejected from that game against Weber State. I don't know if you caught any of that, but
I did not.
There at the beginning. So he got an unsportsmanlike penalty for being just awful to the Weber State. I mean, they did nothing, and he's like banging their helmets off of them. And then 2 plays later after his penalty, he did it again. And that time it got into a bit of a skirmish, and he ended up running right into the ref and everything. He should have been ejected from the game right there. I mean, it was fairly egregious.
Yeah. Talking about attitude problems. Players, these guys are like kids and stuff, but it's a reflection of the leadership. Because if you look at Bobby Hauck, I was joking about Bobby Hauck's press conference because it is the funniest thing that I have seen in a few weeks. If you watch a Brett Vegan press conference and then you go back to back and watch Bobby Hauck's right after that, just the pure professionalism of Brett Vegan shines through. He doesn't love answering questions. You can tell that he doesn't want to be there. But he goes in there, he's respectful to everybody. He answers the questions in a coherent fashion. And then you get Bobby Hauck that goes up there. They don't ask him any tough questions. And he still just has a hissy fit the entire time.
Yeah. You're right about Brett Vegan in that sense. I mean, that dude is professional 100% of the time. And Bobby Hauck he is who he is. And it'll never change.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe that is the highest paid government employee in the state of Montana. And he goes on his press conference and is calling a dude a jackwagon. We don't even talk as dirty as Bobby Hauck talks in his press conferences on this podcast.
I mean, I did just call Riley Wilson a dickhead, but
yeah, I said jackwagon, but we all know he didn't say jackwagon.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I didn't say a naughty word. How about that?
No, it wasn't that bad. Wasn't that bad.
I don't know, man. And that Logan Fife is a true gunslinger, and he's good at it. Like, honestly, he's pretty good at slinging the ball around.
I thought he was a fairly
good... They've got playmakers on that offense for the Grizzlies. But it doesn't matter if they cannot stop anybody. And the difference between the Bobcat defense and the Grizzly defense right now is not even close.
If I was one of the wide receivers on Montana right now, I think I would be fairly pissed off. Because I think they have a ton of talent at receiver. When you talk about Keelan White, who had a huge game, Junior Bergen, and Fonts. Helvetica, sorry. those guys are all legitimate wideouts. There is not a weak link in the bunch, and they should be passing all over everybody. And I was thinking, like, on paper, Ayat and Logan Fife look pretty good. They're efficient. They're doing things. But when you look at the games a little bit closer, they're missing people. They're missing reads on long passes and checking down all the time. And I don't know if that's a Bobby Houck call or if that's them personally making that decision.
Ayat has not played much.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, in the last 2 weeks, he really hasn't seen the field too much.
Mm-hmm.
This last week, he threw the ball 4 times, completed 1 for 11 yards.
Yeah.
He did not rush the ball a single time. It was Fife the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Weber State wants to beat Northern Arizona next week, their defense is going to have to figure something out because Northern Arizona isn't a pushover.
No, not at all. Northern Arizona is quietly becoming one of the strongest teams in the Big Sky, I feel like. They did just lose to Idaho, but they lost in a close game, and they were fighting with them, you know.
They lost to Idaho, yeah, and we'll get to that game here in a minute.
Yeah.
But bottom line here for the Grizzlies, and I can't be happier saying this to you, Ben, and the podcasts out there. This was fun.
It does feel kind of good.
This was a fun game.
I just was not expecting it to
Always
actually
a good
happen.
day when the Grizzlies lose.
Yeah. It seems like
I wasn't either.
in my living memory, every time that the Grizzlies go to overtime, they win. I know that's not like an actual statistic.
Fair enough.
But in my head, they have won every single time. So they went to overtime, and I'm watching this game, and I'm like, the Grizz are still going to win this. They're going to find a way to win this. I know, they do. Every time I think they're going to lose, they find a way to win it. It was the same way in the playoffs last year when they went to overtime, and I was like, well, the Grizz already won. Why am I watching the rest of this game? It's going to be over soon. And then the Grizz lost in overtime, which I was like completely blown away. That last fumble, which you kind of got to feel a little bit bad for Logan Fife on that almost. Like, it sucks just to have overtime end that way. And you know that you ultimately completely blame yourself, even though there was a ton of things that team could have fixed, and it was not on Logan Fife's shoulder that they lost that game.
Yeah.
But he fumbles that ball, and it's over.
The Grizzly offense is very good. There is no denying that.
Yeah.
And I'd be pissed, too, if my defense was going to give up 55 a week.
Mm-hmm. They're like, can I win a game just scoring 36 points, please? Like, scoring a lot of points in a football game, can we just win based on that?
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's enough talk about little brother.
Okay. Ooh, now they're little brother. Okay, you're flipping it around on him. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain, Eric. That's all I gotta say.
All right.
You know.
Do we just start calling you Harvey Dent now, or
I might become Two-Face. I might have to.
You already are, Mr. Northern Colorado.
Yeah, that's true. But both my faces are the same color, at least. You know, blue and gold. Either way.
That being said, should we move on to the next craziest game?
Yep.
From last weekend?
Mm-hmm.
UC Davis can barely beat Portland State. Barely. Yeah. And probably shouldn't have, if we're being totally honest here.
Yeah.
UC Davis, they really did probably lose that game if it weren't for some good old-fashioned ref trickery.
Ooh, are you saying there was a little horse pucky in this game?
There was a little horse pucky in this game. I think Portland State got screwed.
We've talked very little of horse pucky this year.
Yes.
Because all of our games have not been close enough to involve any horse pucky. But there is horse pucky to be had around the FCS.
Yes. And I unfortunately did not watch this game because I was glued to my TV between the Grizzlies and the Cats.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was hard to watch any other game very closely. And, I mean, just the way UC Davis played last week, do you think this might have been a little bit of a hangover game for them?
I don't know, man. I really don't. I look back at Portland State on the year, and I don't understand how this happened to UC Davis.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody and their brother can admit that UC Davis is a league ahead of Portland State.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they haven't won a game all year, and they were canceled because of whooping cough. The team's probably still recovering from whooping cough. So
did you see the horse pucky involved in this game at all?
I did not. Did not watch a single snap of this game.
Portland State's video crew does not have any kind of goal line view.
Okay.
So when UC Davis got the last touchdown to win that game,
yeah,
he was short. And they could not review it
because they didn't
have a goal line view.
Oh my God. So they got reviewed by their own cheapness and lost a game because they're too cheap to get a camera on the goal line.
Yeah. So then when the review came back, they put him at the goal line with 1 second left, and they scored.
Damn.
So UC Davis got gifted one from Portland State's video crew.
Happens, Honestly, I think I'm in the bandwagon of I don't want any replays in any sport. I'm so tired of sitting through replays that I would rather just us live with mistakes and then have fun complaining about them than just sitting there for an extra timeout every 3 minutes in a game. So that's what it feels like.
Yeah. I was giving you that breakdown from a text message thread from my brother-in-law.
Oh, yeah.
He was filling me in while I was watching the Cat game.
Mm-hmm.
And he said on that run with 1 second left from the goal line, basically, watching it live on replay looked like he was short, but once again, no goal line view to overturn the call. So
that's all you can really say about that one.
If we have any Portland State listeners, I'm sorry, guys. You got robbed. You should have had it.
Just buy like a GoPro for your school so that they can set it down by the goal line.
Yeah.
If you love your team, you'll buy them a GoPro so that they can have a goal line view.
Moral of this story is this is a bad win for UC Davis. It is a win.
It's an ugly win.
Get that.
It's an ugly win.
But it's not a good one.
No. You don't feel super happy about it.
You barely beat a team that you should have beat by 21.
Oh, easily. Yeah. It kind of makes me feel like maybe Portland State might surprise us in a couple games. I don't know for sure, but I have a feeling that like if they get frisky in a game like 3-4 weeks down the line, we're going to be talking about this game. We're going to be saying, "Oh, well, they played UC Davis super close."
So, Portland State did this and did not contain Lan Larison in the least amount, not even a little. Lan Larison had 23 carries for 124 yards for a 5.4 average. And he also had 9 receptions for 109 yards and a touchdown.
There you go. Just doing land things. Land the man.
233 yards of total offense for Lan Larison.
That's pretty good.
Unreal.
Does
So,
UC Davis play against the Grizz this year? Do you remember?
no.
Oh, okay. I was going to make a bet how many yards Land Larison has against the Grizz defense. All-purpose yards.
I'm pretty sure they don't. I will look it up just so I don't look like a fool. But
Sorry.
I'm pretty sure they don't play the Grizzlies.
Yeah. Outside of those games, we can kind of get Idaho State and Cal Poly out of the way. Idaho State ended up winning. Good win for Idaho State, except they're playing against Cal Poly that's been hot garbage all season. So pulling out a 3-point win against them doesn't make you look too great, but it's nice for Idaho State to get a win after they've been playing a tough schedule.
I lied. UC Davis goes to Montana on November 9th while we'll be at the Sac State game.
Okay, so how many yards does Land Larison have against the Grizz defense?
A lot.
No, we can't. We got to put a number on it. We got to go like an overrun. Should we do this? We could do this Price is Right style. You got to get as close to the number without going over. Yep.
You want to pick first, or you want me to pick first?
I guess I'll pick first, and then you're just gonna do one above me, whatever I pick. Let's say not closest without going over, just closest in general.
Okay, that's fair.
That's fair.
Screw
okay.
The Price is Right.
I am going to say that he has 325 yards of total offense.
325.
Yeah.
Oh, I do like that. I do like that number. I'm going to say he has 225.
Oh. Being a little conservative with your bet on Len Larison. Your boy, Land the Man. You think he's only going to get 225? What did he have this week?
Land the Man. I like it.
Land the Man had like 100. He had 230 this week against Portland State in a game where they didn't even score that much. Come on.
I hope you're right, Ben. I hope you're right.
We'll see. Alrighty. So the only game we have left to talk about this week is Northern Arizona versus Idaho. How'd you feel about this one?
I wasn't expecting Northern Arizona to control their own fate at the end of that game. Like I really thought that. I mean, we both said last week that we thought Northern Arizona would put up a decent fight, but for them to have their own destiny in their hands on the final plays of the game was pretty impressive to me. I mean, I feel like Northern Arizona is probably twice as good as we gave them credit for. If
They're
not
definitely making a case for themselves. They're putting together a hell of a season.
Yeah. Idaho, it's killing Idaho not having their starting quarterback.
For sure.
They
are
really
super
think it's
banged up.
They're running two quarterbacks at a pretty even clip right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
The thing about Idaho, the more I looked into it, the more I was looking into it this week leading up to this game. Every quarterback on their roster is young. They've got 2 freshmen and a sophomore. I think all of them have serious potential. Jack Wagner has serious potential to be a good quarterback. He's just not there yet. But if he keeps getting hurt, it's going to be tough. Yeah. I don't think there's a significant advantage one over the other, though, is what I'm trying to say.
No, there isn't. There really isn't. I don't think there is. Northern Arizona's quarterback got hurt in this game, and I think that plays a big part in their season going forward, depending on the severity of that injury.
Yeah.
Obviously have not looked into it at all. But it's not like that other guy that came in didn't do a fairly decent job.
Mm-hmm.
Northern Arizona just came up a bit short here is the moral of the story.
Yeah.
Idaho's defense did not lock Northern Arizona down. That we thought their defense was going to be the vaunted scary boys.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't look like it so much in this game. I mean, it was a fairly low scoring event, but I think it's you can be comfortable in saying that we expected more, a little more at least.
I think when you're bouncing back from a loss like Idaho was, like just pulling out the win, even though it was a close win, is all you can do in that situation. They didn't let one mistake become two. They didn't wallow in it. They just turned around and decided they were going to try and beat an NAU team that looks pretty solid. You know?
Yeah.
I definitely thought that Idaho would make more of a statement in this game. But when you don't have a ton of offense because of the injuries at quarterback, you can't put up a ton of points. So it's tough.
I mean, the one shining spot of their offense is that I think is Elijah Cummings, that running back number 20 for Idaho.
Elisha.
He was churning some yards out. He's pretty freaking good.
Their skill position guys are solid. Dwyer, Cummings. I believe they
Dwyer
have
especially.
I believe they have a secondary back that gets just about as many yards as Eli Cummings.
Should we just roll this into the next game?
We might as well. Might as well.
Since we're already talking about their skill position players, I watched Brett Vegan's press conference, and he named Dwyer.
Yeah.
As he named him.
Yep.
He named Cummings. Like, he knows who Idaho's going to try and funnel their offense through.
Yep. He also knows the names of the players that he's playing against next week. Unlike a guy whose name rhymes with Robbie Houck, but is not Robbie Houck. That man was like, the secondary for this team we're playing next week is pretty good. And they looked at his sheet forever silently like he always does and said, I'll know their names next week. All right, I'll stop.
Yeah.
I'll stop. I just wasted 8 minutes of my life watching Bobby Houck this week, and I'm mad about it.
No, Brett Vegan was, his usual self in his press conference, and he essentially said, this is our biggest challenge. This is a really good football team.
Mm-hmm.
And he started talking about specific players that have major impacts on that team.
Oh, yeah.
He said quarterback doesn't matter. Both of them are good.
Yep.
Their starter is still recovering from the collarbone, so he won't be there, which will obviously help with some schemes and everything.
Yep.
But, I mean, I think it's safe to say this is going to be our biggest test of the year.
For sure.
I think that's a fair observation.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. This is the whole thing. We sat through all these games, which I know you love stress-free wins, but they're a little boring sometimes. When we're in full control the entire time, it's a little bit boring. And I think I've been waiting for a little bit of red meat in the schedule. I've been looking for a
That's totally
steak.
fair, man.
We've had enough
totally
appetizers. Fair. I've had enough mozzarella sticks. I've had my buffalo wings. I'm ready for the big, juicy double burger.
Okay.
That is Idaho.
Okay. Not that Northern Arizona is known for their rushing attack.
Mm-hmm.
They did 31 carries, 118 yards, average of 3.8. So Idaho did kind of slow them up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's fair to say that Northern Arizona's rushing attack is even close to as good as ours. Their offensive line doesn't even sniff ours.
No.
But you go back to the UC Davis game, and they had 26 total yards of rushing against Idaho. Total.
Yeah.
That includes negative 31 from Miles Hastings. But
yeah,
even if you take that out, you still have 60 total yards of rushing from Lan Larison, who's supposed to be the best running back in FCS.
Land the man, your guy.
But Northern Arizona is able to put up, way more than double that.
Yep.
So it's hard to take stock of what we're going to be able to do there with those kind of statistics from the two previous matchups.
Yeah.
But you have to imagine that we have a better offensive line than Northern Arizona and UC Davis, and we should be able to beat those rushing statistics.
Oh yeah.
But Idaho's strength is against stopping the run. So
yeah.
I mean, this is a good one, and it was great to see Tommy build all that confidence last week. He had a few poor throws, but really played his best passing game of his career.
Mm-hmm. I think this is going to be a true old school battles in the trenches type of football game.
And that's what Vegan said in his press conference is this is going to be won by the boys up front.
Yeah. And everything starts with the offensive line always, but in a game like this especially, it feels like a true battle there where people are going to be watching the offensive line because those are going to be the flashy players of this game.
So I have to ask you right now,
mm-hmm.
who gets to wear the Juice Squad shirt this weekend?
I guess you do because I haven't even received mine yet.
I haven't either. Damn it.
Damn. Well, neither of us have received our Juice Squad shirts. And if you're not man enough to match with me on a Bobcat Sunday when we're just sitting at your house, I don't know if we can be friends anymore. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
We can be matchy. Our wives will make fun of us, but we can be matchy.
Yep. They make fun of us anyways. Like, what's changing about that? We're just giving them some free ammo.
I just, going back to the game, I feel like there's a hero for this Bobcat team this year. It seems like there's always a hero. And, New Mexico, it was kind of Ty McCullough,
Made plays.
He gave the locker room speech.
Moments.
He was instrumental on that final drive. Northern Colorado was Ty McCullough.
Yeah.
Catches a touchdown pass, throws a touchdown pass. He's the magician on that one.
Yeah.
Rohan Jones has been the hero. Taco Dowler has been the hero. It always seems like one of the running backs is the hero. Always seems like
Adam Jones.
Yeah, Adam
93-yard touchdown against New Mexico. When the game looked like it was
There's
out of
always
reach.
a hero in one of these games, and I'm excited to see who the hero of the Idaho game is going to be because there's this is going to take a special effort from somebody, whether that's Tommy, whether that's Scottre, whether that's, I don't know, it could be somebody on the defense. I mean, Rylan Ort's been pretty darn special.
Yeah. Zach Cruz has made a lot of plays this year.
Yes, he has.
A player that could have been completely out of college football a few years ago. The Cats took a chance on him, brought him into the culture, helped him grow as a person, and now he's doing better. He's doing great things on the football field.
Yeah. This is going to be a game where somebody is going to make a statement. One player specifically, I feel like, is going to make a statement. They're not going to be guardable. They're not going to be able to be tackled and just go off. And I mean, obviously Tommy is kind of a hero every week, but I'm talking someone other than Tommy.
Yeah. Tommy just is so consistent that we don't talk about him enough, and I know we say this a lot, and so we probably do end up talking about him a lot. But he's such a consistent leader, and the way he's been running the football opportunistically this year, it's been amazing. I don't know if there's going to be one hero for this game, but I do know one thing. If the Cats are a group of heroes, they're the Avengers. They've got 11 heroes out there. They've got 11 heroes. We've got Alec Eckert, the Hulk, on the defense already.
Yeah.
Brody, I don't know who he would be, but
Thanos.
they he's too strong. He's too strong. He can't he's too strong.
He just changes reality with the snap of his fingers.
Yeah. I can't believe there's not like a Western themed superhero in the Avengers.
Deadpool.
He's not Western. Come on.
I mean,
yeah.
He's pretty cool.
He's pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh. So, yeah, what do you think about this game? What do you think about score-wise?
Score-wise, I have a feeling it's going to be a lower scoring game than we've been used to seeing so far this season. I'm really hoping that the Cat offense doesn't get off to a slow start, but I could see it being the case. The upside is I don't like to hear that either. But I think they get woken up in the second quarter and they start making their run in the second quarter and they don't stop.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Bobcats are going to make a point of not starting slow because I think
because they've been listening to the pod.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a bugaboo, and I think that they know that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the goal is to not. The one goal will be to not start slow.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at Sportsbet Montana,
yeah,
this is a very, very tight game.
Really?
Cats are minus 238. Point spread is Cats minus 5.5. And the total over-under is 53.5.
Okay. I would have a hard time touching any of those bets outside of the point spread. I really do believe that the Cats win this by more than 5.5 points.
I do too.
Yeah. We haven't seen any tremendous defenses yet. But I just don't think that they win the battle on the ground. I think this is a moment where the Cats just decide. I was talking on Saturday night about how they're just in a league of their own right now in the Big Sky. Everybody is just trying to catch the Cats. Everybody's playing spoiler for the Cats. They're just trying to see if they can get them. And I think they're going to prove that they're in a league of their own this week.
In Jason X press conference, he said that he hopes the fans leave at halftime to go out to drink because the first drive after halftime is always the quietest in the stadium. Yeah. So we need to prove him wrong.
He's like, the only time that place is quiet is at the beginning of the third quarter. That was perfect.
Yeah.
And
he's I love
right.
the point spread, man.
He's right.
I love that. A touchdown is all you need to win that bet. I love that bet.
Mm-hmm. I think the
chances of me making to Conrad to place a bet are probably pretty slim, but if I do, minus 5.5.
We'll see. I think this might be a game where the Cat defense decides that they're going to make a stand and make a statement. Because the Idaho offense, even with all their skill players, I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, speed things up for him, make him uncomfortable, and I could see the defense really trying to make a statement during this game.
Yeah. I mean, the Bobcat defense has given nothing but encouraging signs the entire season. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
They've been so locked down. And granted, it hasn't been the greatest strength of schedule, but they have done exactly what they were supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
For sure.
They haven't messed up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's absolutely no reason to think that playing a team like Idaho that's what's going to get them.
Mm-hmm. We haven't really talked about the injuries on the defense, though. I now realize as I think about it a little more.
Yeah. Blake Schmidt out for the year with a torn ACL, it sounds like, or an ACL injury of some sort. Huge loss.
Oh, yeah.
Big time loss. Luckily, we have some depth there. Eckert and Zach Black will be pretty big pieces going forward. And we're going to have to rely on some younger guys.
Yeah.
Hunter Charbonneau. That's a class or 8-man football guy.
Perfect.
Looks like he's next man up, and Talon Marsh.
Yeah.
I think those two guys are going to play a big part going forward. It definitely sucks to lose Blake Schmidt, but I feel pretty confident in our defensive coaching staff that this isn't going to be too big of a hiccup.
We've got a lot of depth on defense, and they added so many young players, and getting them more time early on. You hate for it to be because one of the senior leaders gets injured, but it's also early enough in the season where they can get enough experience to be ready for the playoffs fully.
Yeah, 100%. The other one is Caden Dowler. Haven't heard severity, but for sure out this game.
Yeah.
Probably more, but haven't heard for sure.
And he's been doing great things for the team.
That is, it's not ideal, or I mean the timing's strange, but we are getting Drew Polidor back.
Yep.
So Polidor should be able to start this game. I mean, the chances of him playing a full game are probably pretty slim, but the development of Taki has, Danny Yu's brother has kind of changed things a little bit on that front. So, I don't think that this is as devastating as it feels, because losing Caden Dowler sucks.
Yep. It's definitely a blow. Especially when it's such a young player and he's doing some nice things for the team. I still think that we have the depth. Like you said, Drew Polidor's coming back. Taki's been playing pretty decent in the snaps. He's never made a huge mistake to where it'd be noticeable. And I think that's a huge thing for a player in the secondary. When they don't make noticeable mistakes, that usually means they're doing a pretty good job as a young guy.
He's still developing, and I just think that he is going to be perfect to spell Polidor when he needs it.
Oh, yeah.
Give him a breather here and there, and I think that's kind of how it'll go, and I am absolutely stoked to get Polidor back because he was looking so good. So, yeah.
Playing the best football,
Yeah. I can't wait for this game, Ben.
Oh, I'm so excited for it.
Should we get on to the next set, the rest of the games?
Yeah, we can if we have to.
First up, we have Northern Arizona at Montana, and we've already talked about this one a little bit. What way are you leaning?
I want to say that the Grizz are not going to drop another one in Washington Grizzly because they have another home game. But the Lumberjacks have looked strong. I picked the Lumberjacks to beat the Vandals last week, and I almost had it.
Do you smell that, Ben?
I might smell it.
Do you smell an upset?
I kind of.
Smelling an upset?
I don't know if we even call it an upset at this point.
Let's go.
I don't even know if we call it an upset at this point.
We're going with it.
I think Northern Arizona wins this football game.
Ditto, brother.
I think that the Grizz better hope that their defense decides to show up in some way, shape, or form in this game, because that's going to be the only chance.
Dude, Northern Arizona's coming off what they probably feel like a game that they had.
Yep.
And they're going to be out for blood in this one.
They're going to be going
Montana
for it.
weather doesn't mean anything to them. They get a little extra oxygen in the blood being down at low level.
Yeah.
These boys are coming for blood.
They're heading down in the valley where they get a little bit more oxygen.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Like juicing, but not really.
Yeah. It's like legal juicing, you know. It's blood doping, but we don't talk about
it. Is this unanimous, Northern Arizona, or are you going to go with a Grizz?
Oh, I'm going Lumberjacks for sure.
Let's go.
Lumberjacks
Ben
for
and I
sure.
are chopping wood on Saturday.
Let's go. Let's sling that axe, brother.
Next up, we have Portland State at Idaho State. Ben, this one's yours. You take us through it.
Take it away. Okay, so Portland State playing slightly better last week. Idaho State getting the win closely over Cal Poly does not really change my opinions about Idaho State at all. They gave up a lot of points, and the only thing that we've seen from Portland State before has been offensive, if I'm not incorrect. I think Portland State wins this game against Idaho State. I think I'm going Vikings.
Fair enough. I like it. I'll ride with you on it.
Okay. I mean, as long as they don't have to worry about the goal line camera because they're in Pocatello, so don't got to worry about that.
Portland State got robbed last week.
Yep.
They want to make them. They're 0-5, man.
Yeah.
There's only so many games that you can win when you're a team like Portland State, and this is one of them. And
Yep.
I think that Portland State, I think they're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Upset special.
Sorry, Idaho State.
Next up, we have Cal Poly at UC Davis. Yeah, this one has Ben pick written all over it.
Okay, I think this is an easy one. I think this is UC Davis over Cal Poly for sure. I don't think it's going to be a competition at all. If Land Larison doesn't have over 400 yards in this game, that would be weird. Or I don't know. Land Larison might be out at halftime and he only has 200.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yep,
I'm good with it.
The UC Davis Health Stadium. I didn't know it was called the UC Davis Health Stadium.
If you guys came here for analysis on, if you guys came here for analysis on Cal Poly and UC Davis, you came to the wrong place.
Yeah, sorry, I could not care less about this game. Yeah, it'd be tough for me to give any less.
We have Northern Colorado at Weber State.
All right,
I'm going to let you go, Ben.
Okay, let me cook. All right. Northern Colorado. Tough loss last week, but they were playing against arguably the best team in the country. When you're playing against arguably the best team in the country, you're going to have a bad week, okay? Weber State upsets Montana in Wagriz. They're going back home. They might be a little bit sleepy in this game is what I'm thinking. They might be slumbering a little bit. They might be overlooking Northern Colorado. They may just decide to have a little bit of a hangover game. They may be too excited about winning that overtime game last week. They might just not be thinking enough about the Bears. And that's when the Bears creep up on you. I think Northern Colorado beats Weber State and makes us just think, how could we ever think for even a week that Weber State was actually a little bit good?
Is it my turn?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it's your turn, sir. I concede the rest of my time. I concede the rest of my time for the delegate from Valier.
Weber by 35.
Good pick, sir. Good pick.
Okay. Next up, we have Eastern Washington at Sac State.
Interesting game, finally. Very
It is.
interesting
This is
game.
probably, aside from Northern Arizona, Montana, Idaho, Montana State, this is the only game that even really piques any kind of interest.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of juice.
What do you think?
I have a hard time. When we were looking at the rankings earlier, we were both talking about how Sac State's overrated. And we really liked what we were seeing out of Eastern Washington at the beginning of the season. They've had bad games this year. They played well against the Grizzlies. Their offense put up a lot, but they put up a lot against everybody. Like, everybody puts up a lot against the Grizz is what I mean. Eastern Washington, it begins and ends with Efton Chisholm. You know, I hate to be a broken record, but I think that is going to be the deciding factor. If Efton Chisholm goes for over 150, I believe Eastern Washington wins. If he does not, I think Sac State pulls this game off. Sac State is also at home for this game. So I believe I'm leaning Sac State.
Dude, I hate Sac State.
Yeah, I know you
They're
do.
frauds. They're frauds. Their quarterback sucks. Their defense sucks. Eastern Washington's going to roll them.
Really? You think
Upset.
they're going to roll them?
I'm calling it.
They're going to roll them. What does rolling them mean?
Eastern Washington's going to win by 14.
14, 2 scores. 2-score win by Eastern Washington in Hornet Stadium.
I called the upset in Northern Arizona.
I know.
Dude, Sac State's a joke.
Sac State is not the best team, but I also don't want to dance on the grave too soon because we've seen really good games out of Northern Arizona now. Outside of just that game against Sac State.
That's fair.
I think we're split on this one. I'm going to go Sac State.
Yeah, I think deep down Eastern Washington is a very flawed team, but their offense isn't terrible.
Okay.
And Sac State's defense, it has issues, and we've seen it all year long. Every game they played, their defense is always the issue.
Yeah.
I think Eastern Washington can do it.
Yeah. How about...
I might be overstating the 14 points, but I think Eastern Washington's going to get them.
Okay, you're losing a little bit of confidence now. I see how it is. Okay, so what I have a proposition for you, sir. What if we put a shotgun bet on this game, since it's the only one we're split on this week? Well, I guess we're split on Northern Colorado and Weber State, but that's a different story.
Okay, well, if I lose, can I wait 3 weeks to do my shotgun like you did?
You could. You would be well within your rights to do that, sir. But also, I just don't want to be the only one shotgunning beers on our Instagram page. So we'll see what happens. I might be the one that has to shotgun again. Like, it's not guaranteed. They play the game for a reason, you know.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll do the shotgun bet.
Okay, sounds good. Shotgun bet on Eastern Washington versus Sac State. Now people are actually going to be paying attention to the score of that game.
Very true. Yes. And this game kicks off at 7.
Yep.
So we
game.
will have shotguns completed and up before we record.
Yep, we will. A little pre-pod bit of content, you
know. As far as other games, notable games in the FCS, there is none.
There is none. Is it that bad this week in the Missouri Valley?
Yeah, South Dakota State plays Youngstown. Don't see much there. North Dakota State plays Southern Illinois. Not going to be much there. South Dakota plays Northern Iowa. Nothing. I got nothing.
And North
Dakota's off.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's about it.
That was a
as far
pick'em
as the
pod if
FCS.
I've ever heard
That
one.
was, we went off. For a solid 55 minutes. And we didn't even talk about the rankings, but the rankings don't really matter that much.
Well, now that you brought it up, we might as well talk about it.
Okay, we can dip into it a little bit. Do we want to start on coaches or stats?
We don't need to talk about coaches. The
coaches don't know. What do coaches know? All right. So, in the FCS rankings, the top 4 hold strong. Villanova moves up 1. UC Davis goes from 9 to 6. Idaho moves from 10 to 7. And then Mercer, North Dakota. North Dakota dropped back a couple. And then Abilene Christian to round up the top 10.
Okay, so first thoughts. Villanova being number 5, I just don't get it. They would lose to everyone else other than maybe Mercer in the top 10. I don't get that.
That's what you were thinking last year during the playoffs, but I don't know. I think Villanova's got a little something. They got a little juice on offense. They always do. Everybody's calling them the biggest fraud, and I feel like it is just kind of getting overstated at this point.
I just honestly, if you put UC Davis and Idaho, probably North Dakota heads up against Villanova, it's an easy win. It was last year.
Yeah, you're right.
Mercer supposedly has this fantastic defense, but once again, I value the Big Sky and the Missouri Valley a whole lot more than I do whatever Mercer's in.
Yeah.
The SoCon, is that right?
Maybe. I have no idea.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
Could be anybody. The thing that jumped out to me about this top 10 was that Northern Colorado nearly beat a top 10 team. If that field goal doesn't make at the end of the game, they have beat Abilene Christian.
That's super fair, but Abilene Christian did beat the number 5 from last year, or from last week. Yeah, number 5.
Yep.
So that's just crazy. Football is crazy.
It is.
I don't know
much.
how Northern Colorado did that.
Yeah. Notable teams that dropped, of course, Montana goes down to 14. Do you think that's fair?
I think it's generous.
Just a six spot drop is not what you were saying?
I'm not saying it's not fair. I'm just saying I wouldn't have been surprised to see it a bigger drop. But if you scroll down, Sac State is still in the top 25, and that's just atrocious.
They're 18. That's what's crazy is you can't really drop Montana any lower because after that you're getting, maybe Incarnate Word. I haven't watched any of their football this year, but they're perennially a playoff team. You could move UNI up 1 and move Montana to 15, but after that it just gets kind of disrespectful.
Yeah. I'm not saying I don't think they should be lower, but I'm also not saying it isn't fair.
Yeah.
Overall,
Arizona
I don't really have anything against the poll here.
Yeah.
Other than I think Villanova is a fraud. Yeah, I do.
I think Northern Arizona could get a little bit more love. I think they should be ahead of Chattanooga, Lamar, maybe Richmond. But it's tough because they've just been kind of proving themselves over the last couple weeks. And they also didn't beat Idaho. If they beat Idaho, then they moved up quite a bit. But they played a close game with one of the best teams in the country. So I feel like they deserve a little bit more love than 24.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. And this weekend, if they can pull off if they can pull off something special in Missoula, I would expect to see them in the 15-ish range.
If they beat Montana, does Montana drop completely out of the rankings?
Probably not, but
yeah, it would take a lot for that to happen.
You can make a case.
It would take a lot. Yeah, that's tough. The FCS doesn't feel super deep this year. It feels like, honestly, outside of the top 4, that's the top tier. The top 4 right there is the top tier, and then everything else below that feels like there's a significant gap.
I agree. I feel like, I mean, you could even take it to the top 10.
Oh, after the top 10, it drops off hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like any of those teams after the top 10 would sniff the top 3. Not even close.
And we got to think about this stuff because we're thinking the offs this year. We may be getting ahead of ourselves, but I'm thinking the offs.
Everybody is.
Yeah.
Book your tickets, man.
We got to get one of those top 2 seats. We got to find a way to get above them. We'll see what happens, though, throughout the season.
As long as we don't end up on the same side as North Dakota State, I'm
good. I kind of want to be. You know me. I want to have, like, the toughest battle to get to the championship, just so nobody can say a damn word. You know?
Well, this is why the Dakota marker is such a huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
Because the top 2 cannot stay the top 2 with a conference loss.
Mm-hmm. You would have to mix something up in there, for sure. You could not have an undefeated team and then one with 2 losses.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah. I mean, I don't have anything else about the rankings at all. Do you?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. Not a ton in there to talk about. You ready to wrap this thing up, put a bow on it? Alrighty. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Please remember to rate this 5 stars wherever you are listening to it at. Follow us on the line at the Cats Pod on Instagram and at Cats Pod on X/Twitter/ whatever you want to call it. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We were super excited to give you guys this episode. Hope everybody listens to it and really enjoys this just intellectual breakdown of FCS football that's going on between the two of us. We are going to be super excited to talk to you guys on Saturday. I have a feeling. Have a great week, everybody. Hope you guys can survive these next few days until we get to Bobcat football.
Adios.